So this video will cover checking your work for all four of the little practice sessions that are along the way. So if you're checking your work as you go, make sure you pause in between each set in case you don't want to sort of spoil it and give yourself the final answer before moving on to the next problem. And a lot of these do have actually more than one correct answer because there's different ways to look at how these shapes are being changed to create designs with symmetry. So for the first set, the one that I've got highlighted right here, you're looking for which pair of cards shows a shape and its image after a rotation, reflection, and a translation. So the one that would be a good example of a rotation, I'm just going to use a highlighter, rotation would be these two, so 1 and 4. So notice if you were to take that shape in tile 1 and rotate it, give it a spin, I guess it would be counterclockwise, you would get the shape oriented as shown in number 4. For a shape and its image after a reflection, an example of that, a good example of that would be 3 and 5. So if you were to, like, for example, take that image in problem 3 and drew a line of reflection right here and flipped that shape over, that horizontal line down to here, you would get the shape shown in card 5. And the last one, the shape and its image after a translation, that would be the remaining pair. So that would be card 2 and card 6. So in that case, that shape is being slid without spinning it, without flipping it. So it's the exact same shape, just sliding it down to there. You get the shape where it is down in number 6. Moving on to the second review set, now we're a similar type of problem. We're looking at what symmetry operation or what type of transformation could change the initial card to the next one in the sequence from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5. So for frame 1 to 2, there's a couple ways we could do this. One thing that could have happened is it could just be a simple translation. So it could just be taking that shape and sliding it over to the right. So that could work, a translation. But notice you could also get the same result by doing a reflection. So you could also do a reflection across this line. So imagine if you took that piece of paper and you folded it in half, that shape on the left side would copy itself right over to the same shape over on the right corner. So you could get that two different ways. You could either slide it over to the right, or you could flip it over that center line, that vertical center line, and you'd get the same result. So now going from card 2 to 3, this one also has two possibilities. One of them could be a rotation. So if you were to take that shape and swing it clockwise or counterclockwise and spin it around, it would end up there. It would be upside down, just like it's shown in card 3. Another way you could move the shape from card 2 to card 3 is by doing a reflection. So reflection also works for this one. To do a horizontal line and flip the shape over, imagine folding that piece of paper, it would land on the top right corner up there, as shown in card number 3. Now going from card 3 to card 4, one thing that could happen is you could have just taken the shape in card 3 and slid it over to the left, and you'd have the shape shown in the position and location as it is in card 4. But like the other two, you could also get this using a reflection. One of the reasons this one has multiple possibilities is whenever the shape that you're moving around, that you're transforming, has symmetry itself, there's more possibilities for how you can get from one to the other. So if you look carefully at that shape, notice that shape is symmetrical. It has two mirror image sides. So notice it has a line of symmetry going right through the shape where you could fold that shape in half and the two halves are identical and they would meet up. So that makes it so there's more possibilities for going from one card to another. So going from 3 to 4, like I was saying, you could slide it over to the left. You could also do that vertical line of symmetry as well. Flip it over that line and it would end up in the position and orientation as it is in card 4. And finally, going from card 4 to card 5, once again, we could have a reflection there. You could flip it over that horizontal line. So fold it over and it would land down there, flipped upside down. But you could also get that same result by spinning it. This is a lot like going from card 2 to card 3. You could take that shape and picture it swinging around that point right there. It would swing around upside down and land down the bottom left, but upside down. So a reflection or a rotation would achieve that. Okay, moving on to that third practice set. So this is the one where you are just doing some highlighting. So the first one is shading the triangles that are images of triangle ABC, that's the blue triangle in the upper left, under a translation only. So only the triangles that would be a translated version of ABC. So that means you're looking for triangles that are in the same orientation, just in a different spot. So for a translation, that would be this one, and that one. So there are 3 of them. They're in the exact same location, or not the same location, same orientation. So they haven't spun, they haven't flipped over, they're not mirror images. So they're just kind of like taking that ABC and stamping it in a few different spots. A rotation. So these are the ones where it has been spun a little bit. It's not a mirror image, it's just been spun a little bit. So those would be this. So on that one, if you can imagine taking the original shape and swinging it around, it looks like about 180 degrees. If you were to swing it around that point right there, it would end up in that new spot. You could also say that this one is the result of a rotation. So this time picture that you've got like a center of rotation right in between those two right here, and swing it around. It looks like about 90 degrees, about a quarter turn or so, and it would land over in that new spot over to the right. I think those are the only 2 that you can get with a, oh no, there's one more, I almost missed it. This one right here would also be a rotation, way over there. So this was a really, really slight rotation. Now this one, it's hard to picture where the center of rotation is. It'd have to be somewhere way down here maybe. So picture that original triangle being at the end of the hand of a clock right there. And imagine it swings on the end of that hand of a clock over to there. It would be slightly rotated and its location would change. The last would be our reflections. So you could have a reflection and create this one. Line of reflection would be here. Or you could reflect it and get this shape. The line of reflection would have to be somewhere down through the middle of the page right there. Picture folding that, like this was a worksheet, folding that piece of paper. Okay, and the last problem set, you're just trying to decide if the 2 shapes are the same, which mathematically we call that congruent, if they are the same. So congruent means they're the same shape, they're the same size, they may just be flipped, spun, or slid to a new location or orientation. So for the first pair of shapes, yes, they are the same. So they are congruent. And it doesn't ask you to do this, but you could also picture what symmetry transformation would change it from one version to the other. This would be a rotation. So if you rotated that shape around, around, you would get that design. The second one, not congruent. The reason being because they're the same type of shape. They're both parallelograms, but they're not the same size. You can tell that the one on the right has about the same width, but it's not the same height. Third set, yes, that would be congruent. And in this case, it would be a reflection that would create those copies. Those are mirror images. Fourth one, not congruent. Again, they're the same type of shape. They have the same 90-degree angles, but they're not the same size. So they're not congruent. We're going to talk about that in the next section of our symmetry unit. In a couple of weeks, we'll talk about what symmetry transformation would change one shape to the other. But for right now, they're not congruent. You can't get one shape into the other version of it by a flip, spin, or slide. And lastly, those two are congruent. And in this one, you could tell that would have to be some kind of a rotation to change the shape in the left, shape in the right. It looks like it's rotated ever so slightly in the clockwise direction to tilt a little bit, but it doesn't change size and it doesn't change shape.